Welcome to the United States. Almost.
We shot our first 2 or 3 weeks in very cramped quarters. We did the scenes that take place at the Bureau of Homeland Security. And it was a very nice set, but it was not the most exciting set visually. And I could sense Stephen was getting antsy. And when he walked on the set, he, like the rest of us, hadn't seen its final completion. It was truly someone had given him the toys. I mean, this was a man who was just ready to go from capturing dramatic scenes or comedic scenes to actually shooting cinema.
In the background, I'm never going to leave this set.
There's a great luxury involved in shooting a set like this. Because we're here for, I think, what, 35, 38 days, we're here for a long time, it does allow for improvisation. And I think Stephen's taking advantage of that, full tilt. Because you're not having to move the department, move the company every day. You're not having to set up and then wrap and then set up and wrap. It's all sitting right here. So really, if someone has a good idea, if Stephen sees something, or if Tom has a suggestion, it's really can be 30 minutes between the idea and when you shoot it.
Background movie. Action.
To walk over into here and see it for the first time, it's immediately inviting. This is actually the antithesis of what most motion picture making is. It is bright, it is airy, it is cool, there is plenty of places to sit, there is a lot of headroom.
When I first walked into the set, which is, you have to really see it to believe it, the size of it and the attention to detail. I turned to Stephen and I said, I'm just breathless.
Usually in movies you go into these dark, dirty places where you're cramped down, and here it's just the opposite. I think that one of the reasons this movie has garnered so much good efforts out of everybody is this airport terminal is a pleasant place to come to every day. No one's flying anywhere, but to come to and have all this kind of like well-designed space, it makes you believe that architecture truly is an art as well as something of a mechanical science. It makes you feel good to be here.
Oh, hi. Hey, how you doing?
This is a magical set. It was 6 times larger than I thought it was going to be. Almost hard to comprehend how they got all this done.
Do you know anyone in New York?
I guess the first thing we shot was an interrogation scene where I'm interrogating Tom. And after the first day of shooting, I went home and I said, you know, this is going to be great. I mean, this is not only going to be great in terms of the artistic quality that it's going to bring, but it's going to be great to go to work every day.
Well, I think the success of the tone is something that's in process right now. The reality is it's Steven Spielberg, the way he is shooting it, the way Janusz Kaminski is lighting it, the way all the filmmakers are coming together to create the tone of Terminal is something that really is only defined in the actual making of the film.
And action.
In the Terminal big set here, we're almost completed with shooting, so there's been a population of 600 extras a day going through here for about 20 days probably now. It was a set that had to work both in terms of space and lighting and everything else.
This was a very complicated production plan and set to execute because it was like a big giant puzzle. One thing can only happen after something else happens, after something else happens. It's a very collaborative process. Alex McDowell, Janusz Kaminski, David Devlin, our gaffer, and Jimmy Kwiatkowski, our key grip, and myself had several meetings over very large, specific, and intricate models to make sure that we took into account all of the department's needs.
It's fine. Right from the beginning, we knew that we would like to create a set that feels extremely real. And the gaffer, David and Jimmy, we would always like look at the set and we would think and kind of laugh at it because once the viewers see the movie, they will think that we shot the movie at the regular terminal. And of course, the scope of the lighting is unbelievable because you are lighting an existing terminal. Basically, Alex built the structure, but we had to light the structure. And it's a fun thing, but also I'm a little bit jealous because it is just going to look like a terminal.
You know, I just said to Janusz, you know, we're not going to stylize the picture, we're not going to visually editorialize on it. I just like to get this terminal, which is a set, to look like we were on location shooting in the real place. And that's exactly what Janusz did. Janusz still had some tricks up his sleeve, and he gave it a kind of really nice, colorful wash. He lit it beautifully and elegantly, but realistically. So we could pass off the artificial arc light for real sunlight, so you would think that the sun was actually coming through some of the skylights. Janusz bounced a lot of light off of the white sheets that were hung overhead and down the sides of the airport, and it gave us a tremendous ambience that looked like actual sunlit ambience, and then the lights would be turned off when there was a night scene. And then Janusz would rely mainly on the lights from all the different food court shops and all of the different stores in the main concourse.
The whole aim of this movie was to create an environment where the actors can coexist and perform just like they would do in an existing terminal.
Flight 9435 from Beijing.
We started the film very blue. The film begins very cool, with a cool look, because we don't think of immigration as a very warm, comfortable place to be standing for the few seconds or minutes it takes to clear you and get you on your way. So we wanted to start the film, looking kind of green and blue and cold, cool. And so all the cool tones are evident right until Victor starts to settle into his home and settle into his predicament that he's going to be stuck at this airport for an unspecified amount of time. And then as you start to get to know Victor and you start to warm to him, the colors warm in the movie and everything starts to go more toward the warm tones.
Oh, hi!
Okay, please.
Good. It's nice that almost everybody on this movie has spent most of their time in commercial international airports, because Mary Zoffreys understands that sometimes airports are like a freak show. I mean, my God, people travel almost in their underwear. So Mary took a chance and just did a whole motley crew in her costume designs. And she had the best time with the extras. She had the best time making them look like the people that we sometimes notice or sometimes choose purposely not to notice because they're so daring in what they're wearing. And Mary was very daring in how she dressed some of these extras.
I would say on a daily basis we have about 500 to 600 extras, and at least half of them get touched by wardrobe. And what I mean by that is that they either get dressed from head to toe, or they get a piece added or an accessory added or something to give them something that will enhance the movie or the character that they're playing. Even though their background, what I like to do myself is to create a character for every single person that goes in front of the camera. I built Tom's closet, keeping in mind that he thought he was going to probably be here for about 2 weeks. So what does somebody bring when they're coming to the United States for the first time? And keeping with the traditional value of, I'm going to dress up. I mean, he's traveling to the United States for the first time, so he wears a suit when we first see him. And he still has hope that he can get out of the terminal, and so he keeps his suit on until that moment when Stanley's character offers him the ability to leave, and he doesn't. And so after that, he sort of relaxes into being in the terminal, and so then you see him coming out of his suit more and more.
Victor's being influenced by everything he sees around him, and especially he's being influenced by the commercialism of an airport and all the things he can buy if he ever can make any money. But Victor starts to get a good sense of himself, and he starts to want to fit in and become part of this experience. So he does dress better, and Mary did have an interesting character arc in costumes for Victor.
I love the suit.
Oh, Hugo Boss. On sale, $149.99.
It's a bargain. I worked with Mary before on Intolerable Cruelty, and so she knew me as a person and knew my kind of work process. And this is, a very simple look. So it stemmed really from my hair and makeup team too, Karen Houston and Cindy Williams, who have done all my movies with me. And we wanted to find a look in the hair and the softness in the makeup to make this, a practical girl. Even though it's an attractive look, it's certainly not a glamorous look.
Catherine has technically 3 changes in the movie, and one of them is what she wears to the date. And she runs into Tom Hanks' character Victor, and he asks her out to dinner. And, she's always got her overnight bag, and so what does every girl carry in their overnight bag is a little dress or an outfit. And so that's what she's got in her bag, and that's what she wears on her date.
Do you have an appointment?
So with all my team and collaborating together, I went to Stephen's office and just did it, for him to see, and he liked the look. And we went from there.
Grazie mille. The thing that struck me the most is I was fitting Shabaka, who plays Thurman, and he said to me, I feel like the character in this. And that made me feel good. That's a good thing. That's what you want a costume to do, is to sort of make the actor feel like the character in it.
And there was one day I had this one tie, and I tried it on, I looked and I thought, this tie isn't right. It's not the same as the other ties. It's not quite. And I'm about to open the door to go talk to her, and there's a knock at the door, and it's her, and she has another tie in her hand, and she says, I don't like that tie that you're wearing. I mean, it really is the specificity with which they work, all of them here, and the efficiency is a very rare thing. When you have people like that working who are always keeping an eye on the truthfulness of what you're doing and the character can't help but grow.
It's time for you to go home.
I was surprised when I first read this script that I would find myself working with our special effects man, Michael Lantieri, but Steven has added a lot of little things that require somebody of his brilliance. Funny little things like, one day Alex McDowell called me up and he said, you know, I know Steven wants to have Victor run through the airport pushing 40 smart cards, and we and my team just tried to push 6, and it was hard. We couldn't do it. So again, it was like, uh-oh, they're getting Michael on the phone. Michael will figure it out. So suddenly, next thing I know, he's got a remote control engine that's running the smart carts around the airport. I mean, he's amazing. He can figure out anything.
I'll take it from here.
It's been interesting to watch Steven bring that sort of texture to the film and the different layers. When I read the script, there were almost no stunts. And I kind of think when he saw the floor and he saw how beautiful it was and shiny it was and slippery it was, he suddenly came up with all these ideas about people slipping on the floor, and wouldn't it be fun if Gupta was mopping and people slipped. The stunt coordinator is Doug Coleman, and it's tricky trying to get these guys to walk through these slippery floors and fall and make us laugh. And it's funny because we laugh every time. I think we shot the other day this poor stuntman who must have fallen 9, 10, 12 times, and all of us just could not stop laughing. We just thought it was hilarious. The visual effects were another thing that when you read the script, it seems very deceiving, but we did do a lot of pre-visualization just to be able to figure out how big the runway backing needed to be, from what part of the set do we see off the set. We have to put the world of the airport out these windows, and we want to show that there's an active world that Victor can't get to. You know, he can't get on those planes. We need to see all of those. So there'll be a pretty substantial amount of visual effects to create the world of the runway and the tarmac out these windows.
It jumps off the page when I read it first, and then putting it on his feet, as we say, you know, actually the work process. And the pace in which Steven works is the way I particularly love to work all the time, because you're right there in the moment.
Amelia. And cut. And cut.
It's a challenge, but it's such a fun challenge.
Well, I always work fast, and the crew thought we'd relax because Victor's stuck. Life is waiting. He's stuck at the airport. He's waiting for life to begin. And I think the crew thought, well, Steven will take his time on this. Janusz will be much cooler on this. We'll do 10, 11 shots a day because, after all, it doesn't have the same energy and drive and determination as Catch Me If You Can. Well, I thought that was wrong for them to even presume that, because in a way, the only person standing still is Victor, but everything is a swirl. Everything is a blur around him. So there's a tremendous pace to this story. The average scene of this movie is like 1 minute and 45 seconds. And so even though Victor's stuck at an airport where you would expect the film to have no energy, the film to close in on itself and be extremely lugubrious, just the opposite is what I really intended. I wanted everybody, passengers coming, passengers going, to create a kind of gauntlet. There's one shot where Victor just stands and the camera pulls back to the very, very end of the airport. And Victor, you just lose him, he becomes invisible. And he's the only person not moving. Everybody else is moving in every direction of the compass except him. And so there is an energy in the story. Waiting can be exciting. Waiting can be entertaining.
I'm always very curious about what happens behind the camera, about everyone's work and about the editing and about camera. And I'm always looking and trying to find out how they do all the tricks in movies, you know? And with him, it's great. He goes and edits a scene and comes back saying, oh, that scene is amazing, and I use this shot.
I always edit as I shoot. Rarely do I not edit when I'm shooting, because if I don't like something, if I don't like the way the scene turned out in my first cut, the set's standing, the actors are still being paid, I can go back and do it over again. And that's the main reason I edit as I shoot. Michael and I don't think of each other as collaborators because, in a sense, I think I'm Michael, and Michael, I presume, feels that he's me. We're sort of brothers in the most fantastic way. We read each other's minds. We make the same choice at the same time and laugh about it because, you know, we almost overlapped in saying, let's do this. We said it at the same time. We think alike, and we have. And Mike's done 17 of my 21 films as a film editor. It's an extraordinary brotherhood that we share.
When others can't, Mike can't.
I just feel that anytime I get to work with great people, it's a stepping stone in your personal career. I enjoy every process of making movies, and to make them with these people, it really is going to be a huge step for me personally and professionally.
Oh my God!
I think that Steven always brings a larger element, a larger emotional element, and almost a larger examination of the theme than the screenplays actually present to begin with. Steven sees something in it that can only be expressed in cinematic terms, that can only be captured in cinematic ways.
I think that this movie is, again, me having a reaction to all the darkness of my films in the 1990s and into the 2000s. From Schindler's List to Saving Private Ryan to Amistad to Minority Report, even to AI, you know, I've had a kind of seriousness with a lot of these films. And after Catch Me If You Can, I wasn't so willing to jump into something else that was grounded in history or was an important, quote-unquote, subject. I wanted to do something else that made me smile and could make other people smile. And this is a time that we need to smile. And Hollywood movies are supposed to give that to people at times in our own history where we're going through some very painful experiences in the world. And so I felt reactive about that and didn't want Catch Me to be the only movie I made in the beginning of the 21st century that was a bit of a romp. I wanted to do another picture that just could make you laugh and cry and feel good about yourself and others.